Hello, my witchy friends. It's Victory ASMR, and this is my favorite cookbook. So let's take a relaxing meander through its pages. As a witchcraft historian, I like to give reviews of books on the subject, and this is a great one. But first, why not support your local witch on Patreon? This week I uploaded a flip through video of the witchy magazine Enchanted Living, where I flip through some of the pages and show you the bookish theme of the issue. You can visit my Patreon by following the link in the video, in the description, or the comments. It's only the cost of your morning coffee to step into the magic circle, receive lots of historical facts, extra content, and at the higher tiers, mailouts and video shoutouts. So please join us. And so I've set up a little tableau of sorts here, as I always do for my videos, with all sorts of trinkets and things, like these fake kind of thistles. I keep a lot of fake flowers around because my cats like to eat absolutely everything in sight. Makes nice noises, very crunchy indeed. So let's move some things out of the way so that I can open the book itself and not light anything on fire. So it's a hardcover book, and it has this lovely pattern. It's very subtle on the front pages. And in the first couple of pages here, there's this lovely picture of the author lighting a gorgeous yellow candle. And I love that Melissa Jane, my daughter, has called it a kitchen grimoire. The table of contents really reflects this. There's the Feast of the Ancestors, traditional feast recipes, and rituals of witches past. There's Pharmacos cakes, pagan feasts, and focaccia, hummus to heal a broken heart, a Seder square, the silent supper, Aleister Crowley's glacier rice, which I was thrilled to see because I've always wanted to try it. There's also some ways to cook through the wheel of the zodiac. So there's all these different signs and recipes that you can make that correspond. And so I have tried quite a few recipes in this book. And as part of my review, I'll tell you all about how they went. So that's the table of contents, and it does continue on to the next page. So as you can see, it's a pretty thorough tome. And here's the author. I love the picture. Herbalist and chef and storyteller. They are a co-owner at Catland Books, Brooklyn's favorite little witch shop, where they serve as an educator and curator of Catland's courtyard garden. And they're largely concerned with the ancient religions of Eastern Europe, which excites me as a Slavic person. But there are those symbols at the bottom there, like runes almost. And there's a lot of useful information at the beginning of the book that helps you use the volume itself on foraging, some recipes for full moon incense and new moon incense, which I really should do a video because I have my own recipes for incense I'd love to show you. But here we have one of the subsections, Feast of the Ancestors. With the black background, it's all about recipes with rituals of witches past. And they give some background information here, which is lovely. And I have made these Pharmacos cakes before. This is a really great recipe, actually. I highly recommend picking up a copy of this book and trying recipes if you are an experienced witch or simply a fledgling or baby witch. I found so much great stuff in here, and it can inspire you in your own practice. But look at these little cow-shaped cookie cutters. Now, I did not have a cow cookie cutter, so I had to use a, Halloween one. But it was okay because it was a black cat. So, well, whatever color you want it to be, it's a cookie cutter. So, this is a spread about recreating a pagan feast, and those figs look so delicious. And the colors in this book, it's one of the best things, in my opinion, about the aesthetic of it. It's very rich and witchy. And here's the focaccia recipe. I love making focaccia because you can kind of make pictures in the dough. And there's something so rich and connected about making your food in this way, right? You put so much extra care into it if it's like art. We also have a Hecate-inspired recipe, and the author of this book is a chef, so you can really tell that they've blended witchcraft, practice, magic with their skills as a culinary expert. And here's some lovely crepes in a skillet. The photography is just beautiful here. And then there's some Celtic, different types of Celtic symbolism for Michaelmas. Hummus to heal a broken heart, which I think is lovely. And the Seder Square. Oh, there's also Aleister Crowley's Glacier Rice. I thought this was so amazing. I'd really like to explore more recipes by early occultists and pagans, especially in my area, the 19th century. Find more recipes that are just so hard to find because people had to be secretive. We have the Seder Square Harvest Pie, and the Seder Square is so fascinating. I was very excited to see it included in here. It's a 2-dimensional acrostic word square, and there's Latin palindromes in it, and they were found in the early Roman period. Pompeii, pre-AD, which is absolutely crazy. There's also the zodiac section here, cooking through the wheel of the zodiac. And again, this is so fun. If you're into astrology, like run, don't walk, to pick up a copy of this. I'll show you a couple examples. There's the Feast of Aries, chorizo meatballs with cheesy polenta, cherry and Sichuan pepper truffles. And I love polenta. I have some Aries friends in my life that I could make this for. But they all come with charts like this, which give you all sorts of recommended foods that align with your zodiac sign. And it continues through all of the zodiac signs. The Feast of Taurus, for example. We have Cancer, Gemini, all with charts. The Feast of Leo, an heirloom tomato salad with nasturtium vinaigrette, cantaloupe, and champagne popsicles. I love heirloom tomatoes, and it's almost heirloom tomato season where I am, so I am very excited for that. Virgo, which is a giant roast chicken. Feast of Libra, pepperdelli, and all sorts of others that I will let you discover. Aquarius as well, duck. And then we make it to Feast of the Heavens. And this is like planetary magic in the kitchen. And so there's all sorts of things. I'm not as much into the history of planetary magic, but I am curious about it. There's planetary hours here in this table, which is lovely because you have it at your fingertips while you're cooking. It's very thorough. And then all sorts of charts here as well. Mercury and Venus, Saturn, all this useful information. And the moons. So we have new moon, full moon, half moon, waning moon, and waxing moon. And so there's a full moon feast with this little moon cake of some sort. Just the photography is unbelievably beautiful, vivid, evocative. And these always look delicious to me, but I haven't tried them. Dandelion and orange fertule. I'm not sure if that's pronounced correctly. And a creamy mugwort soup, which is a very interesting concept to me. Making things out of mugwort, like for dinner. And lavender butter with herbed seed crackers for Mercury. Edible flour dumplings for Venus. The edible flour knowledge in here is like quite incredible, commendable. And I was surprised to see, we'll see in a second here, there's a recipe that I actually made all the time that's in here. Pressed violet cookies, actually. So it continues on in this vein. We've got Saturn and a new moon feast. These beautiful floral arrangements on the table. And the Feast of the Earth, seasonal meals for the solstices and the equinoxes. And this excites me a lot. As you all know, I do videos around the wheel of the year, so I was excited to see this section. And just doing a little close-up here, they provide a very thorough overview of how the natural world kind of unveils these elements of mystery, how the rhythm of the universe can correspond with the food that we put in our bodies. And it's a really lovely overview of how you can incorporate the solstices and the equinoxes into your spellcraft, and it ties nicely into the other chapters about the zodiac and other pagan traditions as well. But I love that there's these little cutout shape, little images throughout. And I love that in these sections, they provide a timeline at the bottom of different landmarks. So spring equinox, Holi, the colorful Hindu festival, Adonia, Exonaut, Beltane, Vestalia, the Roman festival of Vesta, goddess of the hearth. That's June 7th. And it kind of goes over so many different traditions. The summer solstice, feast of St. John the Baptist, and the feast of St. Lawrence. And at the bottom here, I was surprised to see the Zinke, which is the Slavic harvest festival close to the equinox. Seeing the Slavic traditions in here meant a lot to me. Just because I'm so interested in Eastern European folk traditions, paganism, and witchcraft. And it continues on to the next page and through all of the seasons. So, really useful resource on this subject. And if you're new here, please subscribe and join the coven. You're a very friendly and welcoming bunch, and we'd love to have you. Now here's the feast of the spring equinox. So they've used some lovely pink colors, and there's a lot of just very bright and sunshiny colored things throughout. And then they give you a nice overview. So the only one I've made is the autumn one. So here's a summer solstice one that I'm really hoping to do this year. Make it for friends and family. But the guideline is lovely because they give you instructions on how to cook everything simultaneously. Here's the autumn equinox one. This one I have made most of it, and it was delicious and really quite flavorful. And then there's the feast of the winter solstice as well. And then that brings us to the feast of spells, and these are just kind of like individual recipes of sorts. So feast of spells, potions, rites, and dinner spells. And so I always say, like, you can incorporate spellcraft into your kitchen, into cooking, your practice in the kitchen. And so there's a lot of really excellent, useful ideas in here that I encourage you to check out. Here's a cup for tasseography or reading tea leaves. And there's home blessing bread, polenta cakes, ritual bread masks, which is such a fascinating thing. It kind of reminds me of some of the folklore surrounding the Salem witch trials and the rye bread hysteria, which I really should talk about in a video sometime soon, or even some of the decorative doves that are made for Ukrainian wedding cakes, or korovai cake. Yeah, it would be made of that very hard and sturdy dough. And then lots of work with flower blossoms. Little known fact, you can fry zucchini blossoms. You can batter them and fry them, and they're so delicious. I'm sure that's more than a fact. And then there's some mushrooms with some kind of botanical illustrations here, which I really like. There's just so much variety in the way that the pages are spread out. And an herbed yogurt cheese. Again, so many things that you can do with edible flowers. But you just have to be careful to make sure that they are indeed edible flowers. Very, very pretty. I'm going to tip over my candle if I'm not careful here. And also got witch cake, which I have my own take on this that I'd really like to share. So I'll definitely do that at some point soon. And what else? Here are the pressed violet offering cookies. And I have a version of this as well that I love just because I think violets are pretty delicious edible flowers and worth using in your baking. There's cocktails, there's infused ritual beverages. Just the illustrations, just beautiful. Those yellow candles are so gorgeous. Love potions with that beautiful pink ribbon intertwined around the glass of the glass there. And my Gordon Cat of Divination tea ritual. Yeah, I love doing tea leaf divination. I think it's so cool. You can learn so much, and it feels like it really links you to the past. A simple cleansing iced tea. And then that brings us to the end of the book with the references and further reading. And there's this really pretty pattern that we see on the inner folds of the cover of the book there. But a pretty hefty index kind of leads you to things that might be useful, and an acknowledgement section at the end of the book. And that is the entirety of it. Now there are lots of things in here that we didn't even look at. I didn't even flip past. But I highly recommend that you pick up a copy and check it out for yourself. I think they have another book coming out soon. Protective chicken foot soup. Yeah, that one made me laugh. Because, I mean, that is definitely a thing. I just cannot deal with the chicken feet in my soup. But very authentic and really quite wonderful. But it's a dense book, a really great reference guide, and from one witch to another. I highly recommend that you pick up a copy of it. Plus, if you have a cookbook section in your house, the spine is really pretty. It looks great on the shelf. And it's rare that you find a cookbook that has black accents. Normally they're usually quite white and minimalist and airy. But this one really, I think, is irreverent of history. And that's very important to me, as you all know quite well. So if you're in the mood to create a pagan celebration feast of sorts, get some knowledge, advice, all of these things, the book will most certainly help you with that. But I hope to do more book review videos like this in the future. I have a really expansive library of these books. So let me know in the comments if there's any that you'd really like to see me cover in the future. And again, please do join my Patreon right now, more than ever. I would really appreciate your support so that I can keep doing what I'm doing, showing up here every week on YouTube. And, in return, you get lots of wonderful benefits and rewards. And now it's become quite dark, so I'm sure by now you're almost asleep. So I leave you with some page turning noises. Shuffling through the book. It's very sturdy, high quality. And I hope that you have a restful and peaceful sleep. And I'll see you again very, very soon. Good night.